And although I'm talking about Maori health, and primarily, there'll be implications here for all people. I mean, if you think back 25 years, go back to 1984. Some of you are old enough to be able to do that. And try and imagine in 1984 what we were thinking about might happen in the future. We would never have dreamed that I would now be on something I've learned this morning called YouTube. I actually had to ask what YouTube was, and she said I'm the only one in the country who doesn't know. But imagine the look of shock on our children's faces if we tell them that in 1984 there was no such thing as a mobile phone. They would not be able to believe it because it's part of their world that they take for granted. When we talk about a text message today, they know exactly what we mean. In 1984, when we talked about a text message, we thought we were talking about a verse from the Bible. So that there is just very little comprehension about what can happen in 25 years that was unpredictable. 25 years ago, Kohanga was getting going. The idea that you would have two generations of Maori young people who were fluent Maori speakers and fluent English speakers was inconceivable. In 1984, people were saying if you start teaching people Maori, they'll never be able to speak English. The idea that there might have been a Maori television channel 25 years ago, unthought of. So we live in a world that's going to change, and we can't predict the change. That's the point of that. We know that there will be changes in a number of directions. I'm just going to abandon those notes because the changes will come from a whole lot of directions. The technology's got to change in ways that we can't imagine. If we think changes, it's been quick in the last 25 years, it'll be doubly quick in the next 25 years. And so don't even try and think what it's going to be like, except it's going to be different. Our demography is going to change. The population of New Zealand will change. There are going to be catastrophes and epidemics that we can't imagine. Swine flu wasn't heard of this time last year. And there'll be many other things, epidemics of that nature that emerge that we can't yet imagine. Indigenous aspirations have changed and will continue to have change. Maori capability has changed in a dramatic way. 25 years ago, 4 Maori dentists, is now 60. 25 years ago, 50 Maori doctors, is now nearly 300. 25 years ago, 1 Maori health provider, there's now 270. So that the whole capability thing will change in a way that we can't predict. 25 years ago, there were probably about 40 or 50 lawyers, Maori lawyers. Now, according to my brother, there's too many. So the whole capability thing will change as well, and that will also bring new opportunities. And all of these things will impact on the way we sustain the environment, the sort of social relationships we have, how we balance our lifestyles. A major challenge of the future is how we balance our lifestyles. The sort of leadership that we'll need going into the future, and how we will be able to make the best use of technology and knowledge. All of that really, and this is the point I really want to make, that all of these things are going to weigh on how we promote health best. The point I want to make is that the most significant difference for health in the future will come from whānau. That's the, and moving forward, we need to be thinking about whānau as agents for health promotion. And I'll explain that a bit more. But I thought I'd give you the end point first in case you doze off. We've got the main point, that it's whānau that will make the most difference to health in 25 years' time. Going back 24 years, there were 2 or 3 really important things that happened in New Zealand. The first National Maori Health Conference was held in 1984 at the Honi Waititi Marae, and it was called the Hui Whakaoranga. The health huis now occur once, twice a week all around the country. This was one that hadn't happened before, and it was on a national scale. So the people who went there, some of them were from hospital boards. Something I remember, hospital boards. Hospital board representatives, Ministry of Health, quite a lot of health professionals. Some tribal leaders attended this national hui to talk about Maori health. It was supposed to be Maori health in the future, and that's how it emerged out. What everyone thought would happen, at least what the health professionals thought would happen, is that they would go away from that hui having a better understanding of gout, hypertension, and diabetes. They were the three things that people thought we were going to be talking about. When they left the hui, what they heard about was Maori health providers, more Maori health professionals, and incorporating the cultural values into health delivery services. So quite a different outcome from that hui from what was expected. But that really was a prescription for Maori health for the future. It wasn't well received by everybody. A lot of people thought there's only one type of health and it's got nothing to do with Maori values and culture. We know much more than that now. We know that critical to good health outcomes is the recognition of values and culture. There are many people thought that Maori would never have the capacity to deliver their own health programs. We know that that was a short-sighted view when I talk about the 270 mil health providers. The other event that happened in the same year was the Hui Taumata Mātauranga. The Hui Taumata. Now I don't know whether any of you remember Roger Douglas. But when the fourth Labour government went into power in 1984, you may remember there's a little bit where the country was broken. Whenever we change government, the country seems to be broken. Well, it was broken in 1984, and there had to be some major restructuring to put us right. And Mr. Douglas, along with the government, called an economic summit. The union leaders, industry leaders, government leaders got together, and this was going to be the way forward. There'd be a collaborative approach, and there was for about 2 weeks. Anyway, what came at the end of the economic summit, people realised they hadn't addressed the Maori economy, and so a month after that, Koro Wetiri convened the Hui Taumata, the Maori Economic Summit. Out of that summit came a direction that if Maori are going to advance in health or in education or in wealth creation or in anything like that, needed to be less dependent on the state, more independent, and more able to drive their own direction. So that was really important. So if you put those two hui together, the Hui Whakaoranga, health is not something that's done to you, it's something you've got to do yourself, alongside this economic development, that if you want to grow your economy, it's no good depending on other people to grow. If you put those two things together, you've got a sort of prescription for the next 25 years. What's the result of that 25 years been? Very strong platforms established, not to carry on forever, but I think to position us well to move into the next 25 years. And how do I go about measuring the results of the last 25 years? A number of ways of doing it. You can look at life expectancy. If people are living longer, that's one measure. It's a pretty crude measure, but it is a measure. I mean, if you're alive, you're alive. If you're dead, you're not. So there's some clarity about the measure. The other way is to measure it is by youthful vitality. This is not a common measure, but if you measure how vital youth are, you get a bit of a hint about our capacity for the future. If health is on people's agenda, that I think is another measure of progress. If health is not on their agenda, nothing will happen. If it's at least on the agenda, there's a better chance that something will happen. Strength and cultural identity, I've talked about that where cultural identity is strong, health tends to be better.